2022. It's lights out and lift off for MotoGP in 2022 in Qatar. Not a bad start for the poleman Jorge Martin, although big moment. The two race off the back of the third row, 9th, back to 15th place. As Lewis said, the two factory Ducatis just completely missed the start. Already getting aggressive, getting busy. As 2020 champ Joan Mir. We know how good.
11th on the grid.
Yeah, already getting wheel spin on that medium Michelin rear tyre through that tyre torturing turn 11 there. Fabio Quartararo just about keeping Jorge Martin at bay, although with the slipstream and the power of the Ducati
too hard. Who would have expected Brad Binder to be next behind him? And Paul Espargaro straight away sending a message to his teammate. He ain't no number 2 at Honda.
Yeah, Marquez was just in that little bit hot. He went a little bit.
4 stars. Bastianini's the first of them in 5th. Jack Miller's dropped down 5 places to 9th. Bagnaya's down behind Miguel Oliveira in 14th. And Johan Zarco, he's dropped 6 places to 19th. The Ducati
group and then attack keeps them live for the last 6 or 7 laps. That's where it's going to be key. That's what Michelin have told us. That's what so many people told us in the paddock so far this weekend. It's going to be all about the last 6 or 7 laps at 9.53. That's the best lap of the Grand Prix we've seen so far. Fair play to the Italian. It's the only 154 we've seen of the Grand Prix so far. So he's quickly into his groove, having started from the front row last year. Even in 2020, he always found something on Sunday. He had a bit of a sprinkling of the old Valentino Rossi magic, didn't he? He's coming under pressure here, though, from Joan Mir, who's...
That was as good as he had. That was as much pace as he had to qualify 11th on the grid. And at the moment, he's finding his pace a little bit too hot at the front.
Magnaya not rattled by a shocking start. He's starting to pick his way through the pack again now.
Pace of the front. We were expecting low 55s, potentially high 54s for race pace. Alex Rins on a 154.6, the fastest lap of the race. That was only a tenth faster than the riders ahead. Here comes Joan Mir again.
In the winter as well with their acceleration. They've got that better throttle connection. They've got more mechanical and electronical grit. And that means that coming off the corner as well, the KTM can dart out of the turn. Yeah, the pace just dropping off a little bit. Paul Espargaro's knocked it back to a low 155. And Marquez never really behind Paul Espargaro. They don't need to do anything. They know Paul Espargaro's not getting away here. He's not trying to race. Still 18 laps to go.
Yeah, Alex Rins was the fastest man once again on that last lap. He's running the soft front and the medium rear tyre. Expect him to come good in the end of the race. A little bit wide there for Joan Mir.
And Marco Bezzecchi, I'm not sure if there was a mistake recently from the Australian, but not going according to plan at all for Jack Miller. It didn't go his way here in the 2 Qatar races last year, of course. He's not able to outdrag a Suzuki down this 1 kilometre start-finish straight.
Brad Binder's got past Marc Marquez crucially as well. Brad Binder up into 2nd place. That is not what we expected you to say. Bastianini's having another look this time.
His punishment and then try and recover the lost place. So Binder didn't have to work for that one, but he's up into 2nd and looking strong.
He is, and Bastianini straight on the back of Marc Marquez as well. He looks like he really wants to get on with this, doesn't he, Bastianini?
Frankie Morbidelli on his factory Yamaha start in 2022. He's down in 17th place. He's been pushed out of the point-scoring place. The fully fit Frankie Morbidelli as well now. Now then, Cananea Bastianini saw it last year. Pecco Bagnaia actually lost the chance of a victory when he ran in hot at the first corner in the Grand Prix of Qatar last year. So it's an easy mistake to make. Simon, down to you for some thoughts.
Yeah,
action so far for him. He made a brilliant launch off the line from 6th place on the grid. He's been happy to make the front running here, of course. There's been missed opportunities, hasn't there, in the past. Paul Espargaro has been so tantalisingly close.
Now he's 2 seconds even behind Raul Fernandez at the back of the field. There is clearly some sort of issue with the 43 Ducati. And Joan Mir, who we expected to go forwards, is going backwards. That's Aleix Espargaro picking him off.
Yeah, Mir's going to...
Unfortunately, has entered the gravel trap.
Oh, Jack Miller doesn't have a lot of luck, does he, here in Qatar? You remember when that seat worked loose a few years ago? Then last year, I remember in the opening Grand Prix, he had a mystery vibration of the year to ensure that he's putting himself at the forefront of the minds of the Ducati management for that coveted factory seat next year. It's been knees and elbows and hands all going between these two.
Right on their tails.
Well, in the early stage of this Qatar Grand Prix, I don't think anybody would have thought pre-season that Paul Espargaro and Brad Binder and Cananea Bastianini would be holding the top 3 places with world champ embarrassing. Jack Miller storms out the back of the factory Ducati garage. Clearly there's been a problem that was not of his doing, totally out of his hands, not the way he wanted to kick off.
Conditions, they can't really run the soft, they just can't get the performance out of it. But Binder running comfortably in 2nd place, Bastianini just on his tail, and the top 4, the only riders able really to run this.
Coming in now, the pace is hotting up. Paul Espargaro set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, right behind him Binder bettered that, and then Aleix Espargaro, who's always been confident in his race pace on the factory Aprilia. The pace then drops to a 1 for their riders this year. They've certainly made it a more rider-friendly, a bit more margin for error on that RC213V, but sadly that's Alex Marquez's 3rd crash of the weekend. His opening Grand Prix of 20.
They made a step forward at the Mandalika test, but we never thought that we'd see Brad Binder not just running 2nd, but keeping Paul Espargaro in the lead, well and truly within range.
Paul Espargaro right now looks everything, and Cananea Bastianini, they all exchange 54.7s. The yellow flag's out again in sector 1.
He'll keep an eye on that. Miguel Oliveira looks like he's dropping down the time screens. I think it's the case.
Trap as well, far from the ideal start for Oliveira, and kicking him while he's down, of course, is his teammate Binder, locked in the fight for the victory, still hunting down Paul Espargaro.
Yeah, the Suzuki podium battle. But is he just holding fire at the moment and keeping his powder dry in fourth place, or does he have more to offer?
And what's pretty clear is the improvements that we knew had come from HRC. We're going to have to look at that one on the replay. They can't believe it. What a disastrous night for the Ducati Lenovo team. Jack Miller already out and bitterly frustrated and angry. And now Pecco Bagnaia, he runs over.
What a disastrous opening night for Ducati. Nothing Jorge Martin do the race.
Yeah, we know that. We saw it in Mugello last year, but Bastianini sweeps on through, engaged yet again. He knew he had to make that move. He could see Pol Espargaro just starting to put a bit of daylight at the front. He runs
fight with the Grassini team, who of course have gone fully independent once again for this season. Bastianini now has clear tarmac ahead of him. He's got a second of tarmac to try and make up. Can he now close the gap on Pol Espargaro? And crucially,
well, this is of course the proven Ducati from last year. It was a motorcycle I think we've ever seen since they came to the championship back in 2003. They're armed with data from 2 races here. Though Bastianini is still wringing its neck, he's still riding out of his skin. Absolutely awesome. Find a way to get back on par with Pol Espargaro, though, who still leads by about 1.3 seconds.
Back at it over the course of the rest of the lap. And how big a role is tyre choice going to play as the Grassini team urge their man on? Bastianini across the line, he does close the gap. He was slower on the lap over.
How many times did he come from so far back? He's just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. A 1:54.33. Very much game on here now in Qatar. Pol Espargaro is quickly being reeled in here by the impressive
5 laps of the race, and this is a symbol of just how competitive and just how deep the talent pool is in MotoGP. The first Grand Prix of the 2022 season.
It's going through the minds right now of the likes of Pecco Bagnaia and Jack Miller. This is the bike they rode so brilliantly well last year. They're both out of this Grand Prix, and the bike that they gave up last season, not through choice of course, need to be rash.
A little bit of a shake from the nose of that Honda for Pol Espargaro as he came round turn 14, but here's where they expect the move to happen, and Bastianini then pulls out of the slipstream straight past Polis for the final podium position. The Suzuki challenge just hasn't materialised. Mir and Rins running solidly in the low 155s. They are closing in. Mir's closing in on the back of Marc Marquez, so we could see those two.
Well, he runs in hard, and that looks like it might be victory hopes over. Still on course for a potential top 3. A great way to start the year, but Bagnaia, Bastianini.
What an incredible podium we're potentially staring at. 3 laps to go as they come across the line now. Brad Binder has just kept himself in the fight. He's not faded like we thought he might with those medium tyres.
There's nothing left in that soft rear tyre. He had a twitch going into turn 4, a twitch coming out of it as well. There is Nadia Padoviani, the Grassini Racing MotoGP team principality.
Absolutely. This was a circuit that historically has never suited the KTM. As mentioned, they've never been in the top 6 here in the MotoGP race. But Brad Binder,
after then hoping he can manage it towards the latter stages of the Grand Prix. It hasn't quite worked out, although at the moment he's hanging on to the podium. He's coming under pressure though from his older brother Pol Espargaro. So Espargaro actually might lose that 8th spot and drop back down to 9th.
Absolutely, a chastening opening night for the reigning world champion. One of the battles I think we will be seeing on this.
Estimate just what a special moment this will be in the history of the MotoGP World Championship. Fausto Grassini was one of the most long-serving and loyal members of this mode, because Enea Bastianini has just over 5.3 kilometres to go between himself and the most emotional of Grand Prix victories here in Qatar.
Yeah, Brad Binder too is off to close in for 5th position.
You can see there the team views on the left-hand side of your picture. Enea Bastianini now coming through this second sector. They don't think Brad Binder's going to be close. I can fight for the championship on this bike. I'm not sure too many people believed him on that year on motorcycle, but here he goes, on course, well set to win the opening Grand Prix here in Qatar.
Yeah, Binder's closing east.
Wow,
Binder's closing.
Binder is closing, and Enea Bastianini's got to be careful here. They come out of the final corner. Enea Bastianini surely on course for a famous victory.
One of the most memorable Grand Prix in MotoGP history. 15.5 long years ago since Grassini last on the top step of the podium in MotoGP, and Enea most unquestionably.
But after all the pre-season promise, after all their strong points this weekend in terms of race pace, not what he was expecting, and likewise for this man, Maverick Vinales, who's been a 2-time...
Miguel Oliveira crashing out in the first half of the Grand Prix. And a word for the 2 rookies, of course, on KTM machinery. We had a 4-way battle between the rookies for the final point in the end, involving the 2 at Tech 3 on KTM. So there is the MotoGP World Championship leader. He takes the victory on the opening night by 0.3 of a second from Brad, edging Alex Rins, with Joan Zarco pipping the world champion Fabio Quartararo for 8th. Takaki Nakagami completes the top 10 ahead of final World Championship point. Darren Binder, Fabio Di Gianantonio and Ralph Fiennes by Pecco Bagnaia, last year's pole man.